guys, I just think that you guys who've been in for a while, that you all really have already tasted what the soldiers need, and you all could relate, not just emotionally and spiritually and mentally, but also as a fellow soldier just working in army for so long. I think that's such a benefit. What I've also seen in this CHBOLC experience, how you and other chaplains have carried this experience as far as staff work on your shoulders, working as S1s and other duties as well. I want to tell you thank you for that. I want to tell you, guys. Let me say this one thing. I put on Facebook my video of me trying to crawl to me, me trying to crawl to the finish line on the ground, and the young lady that was there saying, "Come on, Anderson." This is her. She was the one getting me past the finish line, and I must tell you, she has helped get me past many finish lines here. So I'm gonna tell you, thank you for that. Thank you for that. One last thing, well, two last things. What would you change doing this CHBOLC experience in the classroom with cadre amongst us? The things that you've seen me doing, other chaplains doing, that you're like, nah, got to do better. For those who's coming in, what are some of the things, if you say, if we could change this, critique this, or be aware of that, what would it be?
Oh, it's crazy trying to think back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, as far as like DCC goes, like the initial, like let's build soldiers, right, in that 4 weeks or whatever it was.
Right.
I think just adding more on like what the Army actually is, right? So Army values, like what that looks like outside of just wear your uniform the right way and march properly, and you know what I mean? So like the language of the Army, maybe a little more, I've noticed, could be helpful for people that don't have any idea.
Right.
And yeah, like the Army values, like what makes you a different person when you put this uniform on than when you're outside of it in civilian clothes, right? Like how really are we supposed to behave when we transform into a soldier? What does that look like as far as our morals and values?
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe a little more of that in the beginning.
It's surprising that you have to tell chaplains that, but you do.
Yeah.
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 The other thing is, what was good about this experience?
A lot of things. I mean, it was good to be in Army mode every day for 3 months. I know that sounds crazy. But with reserves, right, like you get so comfortable in your civilian life.
Right.
And then, 1 weekend a month, you're like, damn, like, let me pull out my uniform and let me get back into Army mode for those 3 days of the weekend or whatever.
Right.
And so, yeah, here it was kind of a nice change of pace from school or, from seminary or from work or, things like that. I woke up every day knowing essentially what I was doing. Right?
Exactly.
I'm in Army mode. I'm doing Army things for 3 months. Yeah. And so for me, being a type 1 person or whatever you want to call it, knowing essentially what every day is going to look like is helpful.
Right.
I know like things change throughout the day, but like me waking up and not thinking right at home, it's like, oh, I'm going to work from 8:30 to 3, but then I might have practice later for the high school team that I coach, or I might have a youth meeting, or I might have this, I might have that. Yeah. So a lot of the change and stuff it can be hectic. But here it was like, from 04 to 1700, you're in this uniform, you're doing military things.
You are such an encouragement to young people because you're disciplined and you're focused, and you're fun. You're fun, but you know how to categorize it. You know how to put it in its place.
Yeah.
You're fun, but when you're Chaplain Curry, guess who you are? Chaplain Curry. Period.
Yeah.
You get the job done.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that, and I think that's something that speaks to your generation. Like, get it done, and not only get it done, you do it well.
Thank you.
What would you say to cadre, and then how would you encourage them?
Okay.
And that'll be it.
I do want to say, backtracking. Yes. So another good thing, right? Yeah. Outside of Army stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This was a summer of tremendous fellowship
Yes, it was.
with new people
Mhm.
that you wouldn't ever think that you'd cross paths with
Right.
outside of this.
Yeah.
Um, different religious backgrounds,
Yes.
different ways of life, different interests,
Yeah.
different political views, whatever it is, right? And this summer, taught me like see the good in people, right?
Yeah.
We really are surrounded by good people,
Right.
God-fearing, like-minded people, and that was really a blessing.
Okay.
To have that,
Yeah.
day in and day out for
Yeah.
3 months. So I'm thankful for that.
That was good.
But yeah, so what would I tell Cadre?
Now, what would you, if you was something you wanted to tell Cadre during this time, what would you say to them? But then also, how would you encourage them? It could be anything. Like if I was to say something, what would I say to them? Or a specific one?
Yeah.
Some people say something to Chaplain Irwin,
Yeah.
or this one or that one. What
Yeah.
would you say? And then how would you encourage them as a whole going forward for the people that's coming in?
I guess to Cadre as a whole, what I would say is initially, right, like thank you. It's a tough job, transforming people into chaplains or progressing chaplains or candidates or officers in just 3 months,
Wow.
right? So
Yeah.
we've seen a big shift
Yep.
in a lot of people, right? I saw it in myself, you saw it in yourself,
Yes.
and other people in our class. So the initial is thank you.
Yeah.
And then obviously to Chaplain Irwin,
Yeah.
3rd Platoon, SGL. Yeah, I would say we were blessed with him. I think he deserves the biggest thank you from me. He always put us first. He put chaplaincy first, caring for us as people, before officers or before, people in the military. He was always, thinking of how are we doing? Where are we at emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? Always checking in. He cared for us day one to the end, and I know it won't stop. So I'm thankful for that. Looking around at the other SGLs, we got a good one. Yeah. And then I guess like to encourage them, I would just say like don't lose sight of who you are outside of like you're put in leadership positions, but they want to see that that they're a chaplain too. So you might be an instructor, but like you're also a chaplain. So you wear that cross, or you wear your religious insignia on your chest as well. So I would just say, just remember who you are. Remember your spirit. I think that's important because maybe we've seen examples of maybe we would have done something differently, or maybe I would have worded that a little differently. So I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
That's really good. I really thank you for giving me your time. Y'all, Curry busy. She's still busy. So she has to go. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Awesome.
All right.